New video was out in new channel. Creepypasta rules. Do check out. Link in description. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. r/Nosleep. Posted by you/ItsMeRoyale. My hometown suffered a forgotten past, when children suddenly went missing. We discovered Rubik's cubes at the exact locations they were last seen. In the ever-growing plague of serial crime that has infected our society, my small hometown birthed a new evil into the missing children category, one which manifested itself in a different form. Citizens really began to take notice when the unexpected cases, slowly but surely, popped up all over town. A child, from a younger grade, never made it home after school. Others went to the playground with their families, somehow got separated from the parents, and were never seen again. There was also a disappearance at a local shopping center and a street corner. Regrettably, these incidents would be considered statistically common crimes today save for one sinister detail that connected each case. At every individual location that the children were last seen at, a Rubik's cube was always left behind. And, on all occasions, the completed white side of the cube contained a happy face hastily smeared in blood. It became apparent that this was the perpetrator's insignia, a prideful display to challenge authorities. After a quick spike, the incidents immediately ceased to exist. By then, the damage to the town's families was irreversible. Authorities struggled to find the children and their abductor. Since then, my memories have aged in a cloud of fogginess, though I am still able to recall these cases because numerous are public record. However, there is one case that I will never need a record for, because I was the sole witness. I was very young at the time and this was a week. My two friends and I opted to sneak into our school's basement level to play hide and seek during recess. Our school was not well funded, so there was a mediocre amount of play area for the kids to share. The cloudy day also signaled the risk of recess ending early, so we decided to swiftly do the next best idea a child could think of. We knew that the janitors went on a lunch break during this period and, after lying that we needed to use the restroom, we seized the opportunity. Amanda, guys, there's a lot of hallways here. I'm a little scared. Ben, don't worry, Amanda. We're just going to do one big round. Stay around this area, okay? Me, yeah, don't go too far. We should get back before recess is over. We walked a little more until we arrived at a corner. Ben, alright, let's start here. Who wants to be it? None of us volunteered. Me, if no one wants to go then, 1 2 3, nose goes. I was the first to touch my nose and kneel down. Amanda quickly followed after. Ben was a second too late. Ben, aw, come on. I wasn't even ready. We laughed. Amanda, you're it, Ben. It's the rule. Ben, alright, fiveen. He sighed and scampered towards one of the cement walls. He put his arms up against it and buried his head into them before we heard the muted mumbles of him counting. Ben, 1, 2, 3, 4. Amanda and I chuckled as we ran in opposite directions. I sprinted for a few moments, athletically bouncing past corridors that were marginally losing natural light due to the lack of windows. Eventually, purely the dim overhead panels illuminated the glossy floor. I then spotted a small closet door that blended in with the faded wall around it, and the outline was not as obvious from a distance. When I approached closer, I noticed that it had no doorknob. In its place was a tiny, hollow circle. It easily opened and I crawled inside, extremely proud of myself for finding a decent hiding spot. Once I closed it behind me, the interior was pitch black. The only light source entered from outside through the circular cavity. I waited patiently, pushing away cobwebs and an assortment of cardboard boxes to make space for myself in the cramped compartment. It felt like an eternity, but after several minutes passed, I heard footsteps draw near. I peered through the hole slowly and chuckled internally when I saw the bottom of Ben's shirt as well as his jeans looking around. His dirty sneakers shuffled in every direction and I had a feeling that he was about to discover the closet. He cautiously edged toward my location and I could tell it was over. Just when I thought I was about to get caught, I instantly saw another set of shoes emerge from behind Ben in rapid, but silent, succession. The shoes definitely did not belong to Amanda. They were too bulky, enough to fit a large man, and contained special padding on the underside. The individual also wore murky trousers and tight gloves. My body froze in place when the person produced a gray handkerchief from their right pocket. Engraved on the fabric were the outlines of 2 interlocked diamonds. Poor Ben, on the other hand, did not realize what was happening until it was too late. The figure grabbed him from behind and locked him in an unbreachable hold, his feet dangling inches from the ground. Ben could not even choke out a scream. I held my breath and covered my own mouth tightly. Tears trickled down my cheeks, as I watched Ben struggle until his legs stopped flailing. The individual placed the handkerchief back into their pocket while still grasping Ben and lifted him up out of sight. I could only assume the figure swung him over their shoulder. I sat helplessly as the person walked away with Ben, the footsteps disappearing into a haunting, perpetual stillness. I never left that closet. I was so disturbed that I refused to exit even when Amanda, accompanied by some faculty, finally found me. I heard none of their questions after they pulled me out. The world seemed distant at that point, the flood of voices silenced by dizziness that began to seep in. In that chaotic moment, my eyes merely locked onto the far end of the hall. Sitting on the floor was a Rubik's Cube, and smeared on its white side was a red smiling face, staring right back at me. You can speculate as to what took place afterward. I can summarize it in 4 words: media, police, lockdown, and investigation. Months went by. The dearth of evidence made it difficult for investigators to pinpoint any specific leads. No one knew how the abductor got into the school and kidnapped the kid without any staff noticing. In the end, my school was converted into a crime scene and my home was molded into an interrogation room. Yet, at some point, it all stopped. People tried to forget, especially my parents. Most of my friends had moved away from the madness and it inevitably seemed like it was our turn. On a chilly weekend evening, 3 days before we relocated, I reluctantly went with my mother to collect some class certificates from a retired substitute teacher called Mr. Doyle. He lived in a more secluded part of the neighborhood and the drive itself took unnaturally long. After my mother parked on his driveway, I stayed behind her on our way to Mr. Doyle's porch since I did not feel like talking to anyone at that point. We rang the doorbell and waited until the entrance opened. "Mr. Doyle, come in, come in. Sorry to keep you standing, I'm sure it's very cold out." He ushered us in. My mother: "Thank you. We're sorry to have arrived at such late notice, Mr. Doyle. Moving day came sooner than we had expected." Mr. Doyle: "Oh, I completely understand. You don't need to apologize. Words cannot express what you all are going through right now. I can't imagine what has happened to this good town and all these good folks." A girl that appeared my age, maybe a little older, came in from the living room area. "Mr. Doyle, pardon me, this is my niece, Rebecca. She's staying over for the weekend." My mother: "Nice to meet you, Rebecca." Mr. Doyle: "Rebecca, how about you show our young friend here around the house?" He gestured toward me. I looked up at my mother, who gave an approving nod. While Mr. Doyle conversed downstairs with her, I followed Rebecca upstairs to her room. I was shy to comment at first but instantaneously recognized how bland her room looked. No toys, no books, and not even a single poster. A pale wardrobe with an attached mirror sat secluded in the corner of the room along with a twin bed near a draped window. Me: "Do you get bored in here?" Rebecca: "Sometimes." "Why?" Me: "Well, there's nothing to do in here. You don't have any toys?" Rebecca: "Uncle Doyle cleaned up my room last night and put all the toys in the attic. He told me it was because we had visitors." Me: "Where's the attic?" She pointed to the hallway. Me: "Can I see it?" Rebecca: "I don't know, he doesn't like anyone going up there." Me: "Pretty please? Just for 1 minute. My friends moved away, and I haven't played with anyone in a long time." Rebecca sighed. "Okay. But just for 1 minute, promise?" Me: "Promise." I followed her out of the room and towards one of the outer doors. She carefully turned the handle with a creak to reveal a set of wooden stairs that led up to another elevated level. We tiptoed up each step before I glimpsed the interior of the attic. It was filled with an array of heavy boxes, decorations, clothing, and other random belongings. I weaved my way around the mess and examined some of the boxes. Inside one were various cubes, pyramids, and jigsaws coated in countless colors. Me: "Whoa. That's a lot of puzzles." Rebecca: "Yeah. My uncle calls them collector's items. I don't know what that means, though." Me: "Okay, got any remote-controlled cars?" She shrugged. Rebecca: "He has a lot of junk everywhere. It's hard to find stuff sometimes." She pointed downstairs, indicating that my brief minute was up. Rebecca: "I really think we should go. I don't want to get in trouble." I stood up and nodded. As I moved back towards her, I accidentally tripped over one of the lighter boxes, spilling its contents onto the attic's frigid surface. I apologized and crouched down to gather them up. I paused when I realized what they were. What laid on the floor surrounding me were piles of gray handkerchiefs, and every single piece was imprinted with the same exact symbol.